Okay, we're going.
So, well, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you
Thanks for
too.
doing this. Thanks for doing this. This looks like a dome-like kind of overhead spot.
That's right, it looks like a prop out of Star Trek.
It looks about as old too. You would see the blood.
I'll tell you a funny story about Star Trek.
Go for it.
Can I do that now?
Sure, yeah.
My cousin, his name was Herb Wallerstein, was one of the directors of the original series of Star Trek.
Really?
And he told me once that he was in his office prepping a script. And there was a scene where Dr. McCoy had to have some sort of device in his hand to cure something and, whatever. And it didn't say in the script what it would look like. And the prop man came in and said, Herb, on page such and such, McCoy's supposed to be holding this thing. What do you want it to look like? And Herb said he was in his office at Paramount, kind of leaned back, and he looked up, and he saw this chandelier that was round with some spokes coming out, and he said, I want that. And so the prop guy made him a little furniture, a small version, handheld version of the chandelier in his office, and that was the thing that Dr.
Oh, that
McCoy
is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Marc Ciafardini with GoSeeTalk. We're back at the Malaysian Symphony Center to speak to conductor Richard Kaufman. Richard, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Hey, Mark, it's great to see you. I enjoyed our last talk, and I'm glad to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks so much.
Sure.
I want to say right up front, you see those commercials where it's the most interesting man in the world. That's false advertising. This guy is the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah, well, I don't think that. Thank you. That's very nice of you. You probably don't know too many interesting people if you think that I'm the most interesting man.
Well,
I'm very blessed in my life to do what I love doing, and to work with the people I work with, and the incredible orchestras, like the Dallas Symphony and the rest. And so it is. I'm not the most interesting person, but I have a really interesting life. A lot of great opportunities.
mm-hmm. So says the guy who, let's see, you played on the sessions for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Right.
You were music coordinator for MGM for 19 years?
I started as music coordinator, and I had played in the studios played violin in the studios for about 9 or 10 years, and I played on Close Encounters, I played on Jaws, and played on Animal House.
See?
My
That's what I'm
career peaked at Animal House. And then I joined MGM as music coordinator. I had worked at 20th Century Fox for 2 years, assisting Lionel Newman, the head of music at Fox. Then I went to MGM as music coordinator, and ended up being music supervisor, and then vice president of music, and overseeing all the music of television for MGM. And when MGM sort of withered away, and became Turner and the rest, my conducting that I'd been doing had been, going really well. So that's what I've been doing for quite a while, since my MGM days.
Well, welcome back to Dallas. It's probably second or third home for you.
Absolutely. I was here 14 seasons. I was principal Pops Conductor. And now they've given me the title of Pops Conductor Laureate, which basically means they don't renew your contract, but they still would like to have you around, every so often, I think. So I'm always thrilled to be here. And it's a wonderful orchestra. I have many, many friends here, and it is like another home, really, absolutely.
Well, let's start talking about the Wicked Divas. That's why you're here. It was a 3-night session. Let's start talking about that.
Sure. 2 nights, Friday, Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
And Wicked Divas is a show of music from Broadway, plus a couple of other things. It was created by a fellow in New York, and the idea is to showcase music about divas, who I guess some of them are wicked. And the word wicked mainly comes into play because these two ladies both sang in the show Wicked on Broadway. Therefore, they are wicked and they are divas. They're not divas.
Game, set, match.
That's exactly right. Checkmate. And so they sing some terrific songs. They were singing songs from the shows like Chicago and Phantom of the Opera, and of course Wicked. And it's really a fun show. And then we also play music. We do a sort of a mini tribute to Diana Ross, who I don't think was wicked, and I'm not sure she was a diva, but that's what's in the show that this fellow put together, so that's what we do.
Fair
And music from Carmen, who was Wicked,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if she was a diva, but she was halfway there being Wicked, so we play some music from Carmen. We do the overture to Gypsy. I guess Gypsy Rose Lee could be considered a diva in some ways, but it's, I think, Broadway's greatest overture. So it's a great show. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, great. Is this your first time doing it, or is this a traveling thing?
No, they go to different places. I conducted it last November with Pacific Symphony in Orange County, California, and so it was a lot of fun. The audience loved it.
Yeah.
They had a great time.
Well, Julia Murney and Emily Rosick are the quote-unquote Wicked divas.
Right.
They've played that on. They played Elphaba and Glinda on Broadway.
Right.
So how many songs are they're going to be singing?
They'll sing Defying Gravity, Popular, and I think there's one or two others that they sing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wicked's a great show. I was on my honeymoon 3 years ago in Australia, and we watched Wicked.
Really? You went on your honeymoon in Australia?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
We went to Hamilton Island, which is
Sure.
Geographically, it's kind of like where Maine is in America.
Exactly.
And then we spent a week in Sydney, and that's where we saw Wicked. And Defying Gravity. That wow! I don't think I've ever been pulled that much into a Broadway show than when that happened.
Yeah.
When the witch goes up in the air and the song's just overpowering. So glad to hear that's going to be played.
Yeah, that's great. I was just in Australia. I spent the month of April in Australia conducting the Melbourne Symphony and then the Sydney Symphony at the Opera House and over in Perth. And I did Pirates of the Caribbean, the entire film. And had never been to Australia, so what a great place for a honeymoon.
Yeah. We when people tell you that there's a hole in the ozone layer, it is right over Australia.
The bluest skies, absolutely gorgeous.
We went to the coral reef. We went snorkeling, and Hamilton Island is its own treasure.
Sure.
It's a lot
Oh,
of
that's
fun.
great.
Well, like I said, we're glad to have you back. Gypsy, I've never seen Gypsy.
One of the great shows, Ethel Merman, one of Broadway's greatest stars. It's about Gypsy Rose Lee, who became, sort of a fan dancer, but very classy. And about how she went from a little girl and her mother, Mama Rose, the sort of the quintessential stage mother, and standing in the wings, sing out, Louise, sing out, and all of this, and it's a wonderful show. And the overture, Julie Stein wrote the music, definitely the greatest overture in Broadway history.
Okay. And that's here in Dallas.
It is.
It is. The last time you were here, we were talking about Casablanca. That was a tremendous performance.
Yeah.
It was, like you said, it was Casablanca on steroids. There was, every piece of the symphony was just making that movie so much more bold
Sure.
and enlivened. So what's the difference between this show and, the Casablanca show?
Oh, it's apples and oranges. This show is like standing in a Broadway pit. Conducting. I've done a lot of musicals in my career. I was very fortunate. I love musicals. At one time, all I wanted to do was conduct musicals. And so I did the first national tour of a show called Company, Stephen Sondheim show, and I did Two Gentlemen of Verona for the New York Shakespeare Festival. On tour 8 months and 9 months, and then a lot of shows at the Los Angeles Civic Light Opera. And actually did tours and played here over in Forest in the park, the theater here, with Sweet Charity, Juliet Price. And so conducting a musical and conducting songs from musicals is basically accompanying singers. With Casablanca, you have a score and you're timing everything. And the movie never changes length or time or anything. And you're really dealing with classic moments that everybody knows. And so my job there is to recreate what Max Steiner wrote for that film. And which is a great responsibility to have. I really enjoy it.
Well, when you are when you're you're on stage for Casablanca, and we see you. So you're going to be in the pit this time.
Oh, no. I mean, it's like conducting in a pit.
Oh, okay.
Like in a Broadway pit. No, the orchestra's on stage. It's a concert presentation. And the two ladies stand out in front of the orchestra. And, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a Broadway show without costumes or sets or, you know, and you hear the best songs from the show.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, you've gotten to a point in your career where you can kind of write your own tickets. So something like this comes along. Do you seek this out, or do people come to you and say, Richard, do this for us? Or you say, no, I want to go do Pirates of the Caribbean?
I was invited. I'm pretty much always invited, asked to do things. Disney asked me to do Pirates about 3 years ago, and I've done it with many different orchestras, Chicago Symphony in St. Louis and Atlanta, throughout Australia, and I'm going to do it with the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic in England in January, and Pacific Symphony, and first time I did it was at the Krakow Film Music Festival in Poland. And so Disney, asked me to do that. The phone rings, Dallas Symphony calls and says, are you available? And hopefully I am. And here I am. I get on the plane, and I live in Los Angeles, so there's an airport. And where there's an airport, I can go anywhere pretty much.
Sure. Yeah. You mentioned before that you grew up playing violin, and then you just kind of got that conducting bug, and it became your livelihood.
Right.
I've spoken to a couple of composers recently, Harry Gregson Williams and Brian Tyler, and they say the same thing. Harry says that it's the coolest job in the world, and Brian says that the instrument is the orchestra is his favorite instrument. So what kind of joys do you get out of being a conductor?
Well, I look at conducting from the point of view of the player, because I was a player for so many years. And I sat in a lot of orchestras and heard and saw things that conductors would say and do. And in the back of my mind, I would say, please never let me say that to an orchestra. Or, conversely, I would say, hear somebody say something, oh man, I hope I remember to say things like that. Inspiring things, technical types of comments. And so, being a conductor, I always kind of see myself, I see the orchestra, but I also see myself from the point of view of the musicians. Okay. And probably my main goal is to help the orchestra to feel that what they are doing has great value and they are respected and appreciated for what they do. Of course, you always seek to do the greatest performance, to play the music really well and have the audience have a wonderful time, and that's also really, really important to me. But more and more, I sense that musicians, for whatever reason, aren't getting joy out of what they do. I don't know if it's the economic climate, I don't know what it is. I don't conduct Mahler and Bruckner. I do music like Wicked Divas, or Casablanca, or I just did with Chicago Symphony the entire film Singing in the Rain. I feel the joy an audience gets. I'd rather be a part of that, a part of lifting people's spirits, than a part of having them have a cerebral, intellectual experience. There's so much thinking that goes on. We live in a CNN world. We're constantly thinking about things and analyzing things and all this. And I think I view what I do in conducting as part of lifting people's spirits. And I was talking with somebody recently, and they said, what is your job? What's the most important thing about what you do and what a symphony orchestra does? And in a lot of ways, I think orchestras view themselves as bringing legendary music, great music from the concert hall to an audience, and enlightening them with this wonderful music and feeding their emotions and all that sort of thing. But I really believe that we, the orchestra and myself, we have a responsibility to be the balance in a world that can be very dark in people's lives, whether it's wars going on or family and friends having illnesses and losing family and friends, whatever it is, worrying about your kids, worrying about your parents, all those sorts of things. And I think that people come to the concert hall to come to an oasis more and more. And I think that's what I really view my job as being, is to be part of creating that oasis where people can come in and get away from the world for 2 hours and walk out, you know, having been entertained and really feeling better about being alive. You know, that doesn't mean to play music in a major key and everybody smiles and, you know, juggles balls and all that sort of thing, you know, and tap dances. But to go to a place of imagination where, you know, a person's spirit can be lifted, you know, and then go back out there and, you know, turn on CNN and the rest of it, get in the traffic, be cut off by somebody, and, you know, see, you know, that your kids may be having trouble in school, and you worry about their future, and you know, and all that sort of thing. This is the balance, I think. So it's important.
Well, that's awesome, and that release is always going to be there. You know, symphonies are always putting on shows. You know, you kind of, you know, Wicked Divas, and for instance, the reason that you're doing it is because it lifts people's spirits. I mean, I heard you were rehearsing somewhere with Somewhere Over the Rainbow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's going to be in there. That definitely perks.
Over the Rainbow, music from My Fair Lady, and yeah, all sorts of wonderful things. So that people, you know, they can smile. Some people aren't smiling as much as they used to, I don't think. You know, I mean, really, it's very, the financial situation in the world, all of this. People struggle to live life every day in some way, maybe a small way, a large way, and there needs to be a balance of the uplifted spirit versus the, you know, oppressed spirit. And I think that's what we try to do.
Well, in order to lift people's spirits, you have to do a lot of work. So what's difficult? What are the things you run into that are hurdles to conducting? Things that kind of maybe keep you up at night? Or just
keep me up at night? Well, what keeps me up at night?
Nebulous question.
Yeah, right. I think, I frankly, given the issues that people deal with in their lives, and I'm very blessed. I have a daughter who just got married last year, and an incredible wife. And so, and my parents are still living, you know, some health issues and all that. So what would keep me up at night would be issues that really deserve, that merit keeping me up at night. As far as music and all of that, I am a preparer. I've always been taught to be that, and so I will start, for example, Casablanca or Singing in the Rain. I'll study for a year. So I sleep at night because I'm being prepared. And I had the orchestra conductor at my university at Cal State Northridge once said about a musician that you should know your music so well that if you were playing it on the deck of the Titanic as it was going down, you still wouldn't miss a note. And so I believe in being prepared, and it helps me to relax, you know, to know that I basically know what I'm doing. And you know, it's very interesting. The conductor is very important to bring whatever kind of musical vision he or she has, and all that. But the orchestra, they're the music makers, you know. Nobody ever heard a conductor. You know, it's like a baseball manager in the dugout. He never struck out. He never dropped a ball. He never got caught stealing. And so, you know, you try to bring a spirit to the musicians, a positive spirit, where they really want to work as a team and succeed and all of that. And so that's pretty much, you know, what my goal and what I think about. So it's that kind of planning, and it's very exciting. You know, nobody ever achieves 100% of anything. The goal is always that, but I put a lot of value in the effort. If a musician misses a note or something, you know what? If they're working hard and they're really trying, it's not a mistake. You know, it's just something that happens because people are human. And I like an orchestra to feel relaxed, and, you know, while seeking, you know, the highest possible level of performance. So.
Sure. Well, what you said reminded me of the quote from Hugo Lewis. He says, "All I want from tomorrow is to get it better than today." So,
That's right. There's a lot of biblical information that goes along with that. You know, if we tried to live for tomorrow and everything, we don't want to know what's in store for tomorrow. Today is enough. You know, and it's kind of. I was reading something where someone was writing about the fact that if you climb a mountain, and that is, you're climbing the mountain is you're living for today. If you carry all of the things from your past with you up that mountain, you'll never get up there. You know, you just can't do it. It's enough just to take from what you have then and get up the mountain. You can't be bringing all that in the baggage along. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
You know, but we try.
Well, one way to get rid of the baggage is to come and see Wicked Divas. So Friday the 31st, Saturday the 1st, and
that's right.
Yeah, and
Sunday, June 2nd.
So come on down and see Richard. He'll lift your spirits. It'll get wicked. It'll be very diva-ish, and I'm sure you're going to love every minute of it. Well,
Yeah.
Richard, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, Mark.
Great to see you again.
It's great to see you too.
And every time you come back, I'd like to set up an interview.
Oh.
So can we get that on the books right now?
Anytime. Oh gosh, anytime. I'm coming back. I'm coming back in March for a terrific show. A fellow named Jim Curry, who does the music of John Denver.
Oh, wow.
And Jim is, first of all, a great guy. He looks a lot like John. He sounds a lot like John, but he doesn't try to be John.
Okay.
All of the arrangements that he uses are the one. I was John's conductor for about 24 years.
See, another interesting.
And
how does it get better?
well, working with John doesn't get a lot better. And but the arrangements that Jim uses in his show are the arrangements that we used
Oh, wow.
when we did symphony shows with John. And so it's the real deal. And Jim is wonderful. So I'll be back in March to do that, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm coming back January 31st for a concert in Greenville. A big anniversary of their series, bringing the orchestra out there, and they asked me to come and do one of the concerts there. So I'm thrilled about that.
Excellent. Well, we'll be seeing you sooner than we think.
Good, absolutely.
Wanted to run one thing by you.
Sure.
I've become sort of a quasi-acquaintance of a good friend of yours, Tim Burden. Mr. Tim
Oh my
Burden.
gosh.
And
Tim Burden is in Northern Ireland, is a radio personality, and Tim and I have become very, very good friends. It started about a year and a half ago when I recorded and did a concert with the London Symphony. And it was the music of Dmitri Tiomkin, film composer who did High Noon, The High and the Mighty, The Alamo, so many films, four-time Oscar winner. And Tim loves film music. His father was a legendary French horn player in the London Symphony and